Hello my darling, and welcome back to my channel. In this video we will be looking at something incredibly powerful. I am so looking forward to handing you this wisdom because truly it is life-changing. This is one of the secrets to how I have had all of my level ups in life, and my promise to you is that I will do my very best to make that the case for you too. So grab your cup of tea. I've got my nice fluffy pink notebook with all my notes in it, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm Chloe and I'm on a mission to make sure that every woman feels irresistible, to give every woman the ability to unlock her personal magic, embody her feminine power, and just wake up every day feeling excited to live her life. So if you are into topics like feminine energy, emotional healing, dating psychology, and how to become magnetic from the inside out, make sure to subscribe and join our community of women who are all rising together. Now this video is about the darker side of femininity and how to alchemize your anger. Why rage is a really important part of the feminine experience and how it can actually be the secret to making you magnetic and irresistible. And I will be sharing with you my 5-step framework for how to alchemize your rage into radiance later on in this video. But I'll start by saying there is a lot of conditioning and fear around anger for women. It's like we are allowed to be sad, the classic Hollywood tear rolling down our face, but we're not allowed to be angry. And I think for men it's the opposite. They're allowed to be angry, but not necessarily allowed to be sad. When it comes to anger as women, we've been taught to hide it, to be ashamed of it, to see it as this ugliness. And there's so much of evidence of this in media, of perceiving a woman who's angry as being dramatic or out of control. And the secret that society is keeping from us is that rage isn't something to suppress or be afraid of. It's something to embrace and alchemize. And when you learn to work with your rage instead of fighting against it, it becomes your power. And power is what I am here to help you cultivate. Alchemized anger becomes radiance. It becomes that calm, grounded confidence that people just can't look away from. Now let's dive into the truth about rage and why it's one of the most misunderstood parts of feminine power. Why have we lost touch with this part of our power? As women, most of us were never really taught how to deal with our anger. And I would go as far to say that the way we're taught to deal with our anger is pretty dehumanizing. We are taught to be polite and accommodating and agreeable, to hold it all together, keep the peace, and stay likable. But there is a knock-on effect to anything that we suppress. That energy has to go somewhere. Every time we swallow our frustration or smile when we want to scream, that energy does not vanish. It buries itself within our body. I visualize it like this kind of monster that gets locked within us. And because of this suppression and pushing the monster down inside us, sometimes it still manages to pop up and to surface, but it comes out as tension, burnout, irritability, resentment, and it numbs that sparkle that we have within us. And I think without even realizing it, we believe that anger makes us too much, when really it's just a sign that there's something sacred inside us that needs protection. So imagine this. What if instead of fighting your energy, we learned to listen to it? What if your rage was actually your body trying to lead you back into your power? That is what we are exploring today. In this video, I am going to help you understand why rage is sacred and how it connects to your dark feminine, that fierce, protective side of you that guards your peace and your truth, and how to move through my 5-step rage processing cycle to transform your anger into radiance. Because your magnetism doesn't come from perfection or constantly being soft. It comes from wholeness, from being a woman who has met all of her emotions, even the messy ones, and knows how to turn them into power. And I promise that by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to use your rage to glow up from the inside out. The first thing to really understand is the truth about feminine energy. And that truth is that feminine energy is not what you see on Instagram. Feminine energy is not just softness, pink candles, and dancing around in the field. Feminine energy is life force. And part of that life force is darkness. It's rage, boundaries. It's that protective mother bear kind of energy that says, no more. That's not good enough for me. I'm not accepting this anymore. You can learn all the surface level tools like body language, attraction tricks, psychology, and ways to look magnetic. And I love those things, don't get me wrong. But if rage and shame are stuck within you underneath, your energy will never truly feel free. I use the analogy a lot of it's like sometimes we do our skincare but we've got a racing mind, or we're brushing our teeth but we're doing it with so much aggression. No ritual or self-care thing can override a nervous system that doesn't feel safe enough to soften. And that safety first begins with giving permission to yourself to fully feel every emotion, especially your rage. Healing your relationship with anger and emotion is what allows your feminine energy to truly flow. And when it does, you stop performing femininity and you just start embodying it. But to do that, we first have to understand what rage actually is. Rage is not destruction, it's information. It's your body's way of saying something's off here. A boundary has been crossed, a truth has been ignored. When we repress that signal, we silence the very part of us that's trying to protect us. And that creates a disconnect from our intuition, which, as we know, is part of our feminine power. But when we listen, when we let that rage deliver the message, we come back into alignment. Our nervous system relaxes, our energy softens, and that is what people find magnetic. Magnetism isn't a trick or a performance, it's safety in your own body. And that safety is created by the most misunderstood part of the feminine energy, and that is the dark feminine. So who is your dark feminine? Your dark feminine is the side of you that keeps you safe. She's the voice that says no, the energy that steps in when you are being taken advantage of. I think this is why it's often referred to as black cat energy, because she's not chaos, she's clarity. She doesn't destroy, she defends. She's protector of your peace and the guardian of your truth, the part of you that refuses to be silenced and made to feel small. But what happens to us as women when our dark feminine is suppressed is that we start to people please and over-explain, overthink. And this builds so much resentment in our body. But when she's honored, you become anchored, you respect yourself, you're more free. And when that side of you is integrated, you stop needing validation from others because you become your own safety. So before I jump into my 5-step framework for processing rage, let's reframe what it truly is. Rage is a feminine superpower. We've been taught that rage is unfeminine, that it's messy, dangerous, unattractive, but that is simply not the truth. Your rage is sacred. It is your inner protector, the part of you that says, that was wrong, I deserve better. And when you suppress it, it doesn't go away. Like we said, it's that monster inside of you, and it becomes burnout, anxiety, numbness, self-sabotage. But if you do find a way to express it healthily, it becomes clarity, boundaries, and magnetism. Your rage is your body's intelligence calling you back to alignment and self-trust. When you befriend your rage, you access your dark feminine, the raw, unapologetic part of you that just refuses to shrink. And here is the secret. The woman who has made peace with her rage has nothing to prove, has nothing to hide. She doesn't need to shout or explain. People feel her authority. She's the chooser, not the chaser. And that is the essence of irresistible magnetic energy. So now that we've reframed rage as this sacred process, let's talk about how to actually channel it and how to alchemize your anger into radiance. So here is my 5-step framework on how to alchemize your rage. This is my guide to how to move from being triggered and your anger being activated in a way that supports your healing and feminine embodiment. This process helps turn your fire into fuel, not by avoiding your emotions, but teaching you how to move through them. Step number 1 in the rage processing framework is trigger awareness. So this is that first step when you notice that something is off in your environment. Maybe somebody has said something that's unfair. Maybe you see something that brings back some trauma from your past. It's that bubbling and rising of emotion that you start to feel in your body. Now I want you to connect with exactly what that feeling is. Name it. Tell me where in your body you can feel it. Is it your jaw is clenched? Is it you can kind of feel some tightness in your chest? Is it maybe that you start to get a little bit shaky, like there's adrenaline running through you? These sensations is your dark feminine, your rage awakening. It's telling you that something is off. Pay attention. And it is your job to notice it without judgment. Even if you look at the scenario and think, there's really nothing that ought to trigger me here, that doesn't mean it's invalid. Sometimes traumas and things that have happened to us are so buried in our psyche that we really don't know why we're triggered. So honor that feeling by trying to really describe where it is. And there's this beautiful analogy around this that I'm going to share with you. Imagine your emotions are waves in the sea. And when you're feeling your rage, it's because there's a storm and the waves are throwing you around, and maybe you're, in the waves and you're trying to swim and you're ducking and diving and being thrown all over the place. Emotional regulation and the muscle that you will build by moving through this framework is the ability to, rather than being the one in the waves, being thrown around by those emotions, you're on the shore. and you're observing them, but you're not being thrown around by them. And truly, if you put this framework into practice enough, that is where you will be. So name those sensations that you can feel in your body. Step 2 in the framework is healthy rage expression. Now, this is the one that a lot of people struggle with. This is the bit where we let the monster scream. Rather than pushing her down, we let her just Tell me this, when was the last time you fully threw a tantrum? Maybe you remember it when you were a kid and you'd just be so worked up about something and you'd be crying and throwing your arms around and screaming and just doing whatever felt natural to like get that emotion out of your body. There's a point in adulthood where we just stop doing that. To be honest, it's probably a point in early childhood where we stop doing that. But true rage expression is going back to that place, because when you're a child and you have these tantrums, yes, it feels kind of crazy and chaotic in the moment, but how much better do you feel afterwards? You probably just fall asleep because you're so rested and tired, but all that emotion has left you. That is the sensation that we're looking for. And this rage expression is as individual as you are. Certain things work really well for other people. For example, maybe you love to just like scream into a pillow because you're in a house full of people, but you just need to get it out. Maybe you go for a run. Maybe you box and you punch things out. Sometimes it's physical. It can be art. A lot of people channel their rage into their creativity. Play with different mediums and see what works best for you. How do you get to that feeling of peace again and like that rage has left your body? One caveat I would add to this second step is go to a place of safety. What I'm not suggesting is that you just explode in front of lots of people, because part of emotional regulation is understanding where is a safe environment for your rage expression. And often people aren't. Maybe there are certain people that you're really close to that they would be that safe space. But the place in which you do it has to be a place where you're not censoring yourself. It has to be somewhere where you can just fully let go. And if that's a person, for the majority of people, that space is being alone. So make sure that your environment feels like that place of safety. So we've noticed the trigger. We've let our rage out in a really healthy way. Step 3 is reflection. You've got to that moment of stillness where the physical anger and adrenaline has left your body. Now it's time to reflect. What was that really about? What was my dark feminine, my rage, trying to protect me from? Maybe it was something that reminded me of my past. Maybe it was this boundary that had been crossed. What was underneath that? A lot of the time with our emotions, there's many different layers, and it's really easy to see the top layer, but you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper to get to those lower ones, which are actually causing the trigger. So stay with that. Maybe journal, maybe speak to somebody. Try to get to the bottom of what it was that was triggering you and how you could potentially protect yourself from that in the future. This is also a great moment to potentially ask yourself, what does my inner child need? What reassurance am I maybe looking for? And this third step, this reflection, really brings you the clarity and the knowledge of self that allows you to grow. Step 4 in processing your rage is detachment. This is my absolute favorite. I'm going to do a whole other video just on detachment, but really in this context, detachment is about releasing. Now that you've identified what it is that's really triggered you and what it was that created this rage in your body in the first place, it's about letting go of it. Now, I think it's important to pay reverence to language here when it comes to detachment. Detachment isn't numbness. It doesn't mean we are rolling over and just accepting what's happened to us. Sometimes detachment does mean, actually, I release this, but I'm going to put a boundary in place. Or actually, the reason why I'm triggered is something that's happening to me in my environment isn't good enough for me anymore. What detachment allows you to do is, rather than controlling this scenario or trying to fix something or just avoiding your rage and emotion altogether, detachment allows you to identify it, put a clear boundary in place, and then let it go. Like I said, I do want to do a whole follow-up video on detachment because it's such a huge thing. So just comment detachment if this is something you'd really like to see. But truthfully, this part of the cycle comes down to trust, both self-trust and trust in the universe. Trust that I see my rage, I validate my own rage, and I'm going to put in place structures around me to protect me from that trigger or to heal that trigger or trauma that's creating these sensations in my body. And also trust in the universe. Trust that there's a reason why you are feeling this anger. It's signaling something. Maybe it's saying, "Ooh, Chloe, you need to do a little bit more work in this area," or actually, maybe you've outgrown this setting that you're in. So much of our dark feminine is our higher self calling to us. And I truly think the rage is the signal to listen to. The rage is showing you glimpses of where your higher self should be. It's like this higher version of you, this future you, is giving you directions but saying, oh, don't go on that path, or try going down this one, follow this, and this is going to take us somewhere amazing. So trusting in that universe and trusting in yourself. That is detachment, my darling. And the fifth and final step in processing your rage is pleasure. Actually, maybe this one is my favorite. This one might seem a bit odd, right? Why would you need pleasure after rage? It is for this reason. I want you to imagine your baseline level of emotions, the kind of level of emotion and stress that you have, for example, when you're making a cup of tea or you're brushing your teeth. When we are triggered and when we feel that rage rising in our body, we have a spike in our emotions. We have a peak in our cortisol and our adrenaline. What the rage processing cycle allows you to do is to come full circle, but to truly get back to that zero baseline and to signal to your body that you are safe again. You almost need a bit of pleasure to bump you back to ground zero. Otherwise, what you see with a lot of women is they're constantly in these cycles, but they're spiraling. They don't have that pleasure to bring their body back down to safety. So their cortisol and their baseline level of emotions creeps up and creeps up and creeps up, and without even realizing it, they end up here. The pleasure drags that back down. It signals to your body that you can soften, that spike, that danger is over, it's past. Pleasure is how we remind our bodies that after pain comes peace. It tells your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm alive, I'm open again to beautiful experiences. So try to really tap into what are the pleasures in your life. And I don't just mean kind of ticking to-do list, productivity type of pleasures, like you feel good because it's a job that's done. I mean genuine, unapologetic, unproductive pleasures. Maybe for you it's having a massage, it's taking a bath, it's putting on a gorgeous perfume before you go to bed, it's seeing your girlfriends getting matcha, whatever it, watching trash, watching the Kardashians. This final step is how you transmute that rage into feminine flow and magnetism. And that is the full framework. Now, each time you move through this cycle, you train your nervous system to see emotions as safe. And every time this happens, the monster is released and you have space to expand, to glow, to develop, to show up better in life. That is the real feminine glow up, not pretending to be calm, being calm, feeling safe, accepting the parts of you that are messy and weird and ugly. There is beauty in that ugliness, and often within our rage is hidden the gems of our superpowers. Because true magnetism is not perfection, it's safety. It's not control, it's surrendering. And I'll finish with this. Your dark feminine is not the villain. She is your protector. She guards your heart, your peace, your truth. When you honor your rage, your nervous system relaxes and your energy expands. You stop performing softness and feminine energy and you just start being it. That is what it means to alchemize anger, to turn your fire into warmth, to turn your chaos into clarity. You are not too much by feeling full of rage. You are just ready for something more. And that is the magic of the dark feminine if you listen to her. If this video really resonated with you and you're ready to go deeper into this work to heal your relationship with your emotions, really kind of reconnect with your feminine energy and unlock your full radiance, then I'd love to invite you to my intimate coaching course, and it's called Dream Girl. In Dream Girl, I give you the full roadmap and tools to fully embody your magnetism and feminine power, to regulate your nervous system, to become irresistible to everything you desire, whether that's love or success or abundance or just inner peace. You'll learn how to work with your energy and not against it, and live from your softness and your groundedness and your radiance. So I will put the link in the description below. Come and join us if you're ready to truly become irresistible, because our first cohort starts in October. And if you love this video and you want to see more on this kind of topic, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment telling me which was your biggest takeaway or aha moment, because I love hearing what kind of landed for you and what part of your feminine power you're looking to reclaim right now. So thank you very much for being here with me, my darling. I wish you all the best with your anger. Go and throw some things around and let it all out, because truly in doing so, you are taking the first steps to become your irresistible self. Go get them.